Very good. So, welcome everybody. The scope of today is for you to get out of this session with a bit of a better understanding of what Ember is, what Ember does, and most importantly, what Ember can do for you and why you should actually care about it. So the first thing to probably talk about is who is Ember? Well, we are an energy company. We are unlike the other energy companies in the space. I'm pretty sure that if you think about energy, you have a few names popping up in your mind. Well, we are very likely on the opposite spectrum of the scale. We work very differently because what Ember does, Ember gives you access to the wholesale market of energy. So instead of buying energy at a flat rate, so you pay for what you buy at a flat rate and you receive a certain feed-in tariff for what you send back to the grid at a flat rate, what we do is we connect you to the wholesale market. And then we charge you $22 per month as a subscription fee, and that's how we run our business. Meaning all of the cost and the earnings that you make are yours to keep. Which means that if you have a good system, if you have a beautiful battery, if you have a solar system, if you understand the way the system works at a certain degree, you don't need to be a PhD in Ember to actually have a good time. So it's not that complicated. You have the chance to actually have a great time and keep the earning and what you pay your energy retailer at a fixed low cost. Why does Ember even exist other than obviously helping people making money off their gear and off their battery? Well, we are all facing a bit of a challenge here, which is how do we get Australia to 100% renewable energy? And the challenge with that is that, as you know, renewable energy is fairly intermittent. The sun is not always shining and the wind is not always blowing. And that's why it's very good. It has been good until now to have a stable supply coming from coal and gas, mostly. Well, what Ember wants to do, and what it's proving to be doing, is by connecting to a decentralized storage system, meaning the thousands and thousands of batteries and EVs that are getting bought and purchased every day in Australia, by connecting to all of this system and connecting them together to the grid, we can support the grid when the grid needs it. Meaning we can charge the systems with renewable energy and dispatch that renewable energy later into the night when there is a peak of demand. And so Ember really thinks this is the fastest and the cheapest way to actually get to 100% renewable energy. And the numbers are showing that. So what you're looking at right now is a projection for how many batteries and how many EVs are going to get purchased in Australia. Now, as you can see, this is growing quite rapidly. If you look at the data, you can see that there is an exponential growth happening because more and more people are realizing that installing just a solar system, it's not anymore enough to actually cut their bills and create that energy independency that so many of us are craving. Well, adding a battery to that system seems to be more of a logical choice every day. And as more people are installing the systems, we have the ability to control more systems, support the grid, and in the way, helping you reduce as much as possible your bills. So one of the main things that distinguishes Ember from other companies that are in the space, other companies that control your batteries, is that for us, the important part is where does the value of this transaction lie? Who is the beneficiary of everything that we are doing here? And if we are not helping the end user and the consumer to actually have a better time, save on their systems and make money, well, there is not an incentive, there is not a strong enough incentive to actually go and spend this money and buy these systems, as well as sharing this system with the rest of the grid. So the idea is, can we help these people make and save thousands of dollars? And the answer is yes, we can, in two ways. One is a well-developed way. We have thousands and thousands of batteries already connected to Ember that are making money. And then another way is coming, which we are really all excited about, which is going to be connecting to your electric vehicle and how that is going to actually change the way you can make money from just a bigger battery. Now, if you look at the value of solar battery, we're going to see it a few examples in more details, but we're seeing an added value of being connected to Ember of about $400 to $1,000 per year. Now, if you consider that over the course of a lifetime of a battery of a system, the ROI, if someone of you is interested in ROI, that number changes a lot. Electric vehicle, you have the potential to obviously make even more money. We're talking about a bigger battery. Unfortunately, as you know, there is a fair bit of regulations around the way electric vehicles are regulated, and vehicle-to-grid is coming. It's a technology that is working already. We already have a few customers that are doing vehicle-to-grid right now. We're going to see an example later on. When will it come for all of us? Well, I don't know, but hopefully soon. We are a few years away still. So this actually shows you what I was talking about in terms of the need for decentralized storage capacity. Now, this dotted line here represents the required battery storage and coordinated EV charging. What does that mean? It means the more batteries that are connected to a system like Ember that shares the extra value with the grid, with people that can't install a battery, that can't afford a battery. Not everyone is in the financial position to buy a battery or a solar system. A lot of families are stuck with paying a lot for their power. Well, by having you connected to the grid and sharing your battery with these people, you're essentially helping lowering the overall cost for everybody. And when you do that at scale, that makes a massive difference. And we're already seeing the difference happening right now. But as you see, more people are installing solar, more people are buying EV chargers and EVs. And the key is, can you charge your car at the right time of the day using the surplus of renewable energy that is already happening in the grid? And can you consume less power in the evening so that your extra stored capacity can be sold to the grid for a very good price while you support the grid, which is really, really key. So the economical incentive should be aligned with your goal. You want to support the grid, but at the same time, this has to make sense, right? And this actually does. So when you think about those big names we were talking about before, I'm not going to mention them because we don't want to ruin our day. You can think about a system that is pretty much not working anymore. The traditional retail model is pretty much broken. What they do is this. They are connected to the wholesale prices in the same way that Ember buys energy from the wholesale market. And instead of passing you the real price, which fluctuates across the day, they charge you a flat rate. Now, how can they do that? Well, they have a very expensive hedging position. It's an insurance on the market. They make a bet. They make an educated bet. They think, how much will this person cost me as a customer? They will cost me X. Very good. I am going to give them a contract that will provide me with Y. They make the profit. They make the difference. If you have a very expensive month, likely they're making a very good profit off you. I invite you to just go and check how much profit big energy companies made last year. It will give you a bit of a perspective around if energy is actually expensive or they're getting richer and richer. I don't know about you, but I'd like to keep my money in the pocket of people that actually do good things. Ember is very different. We remove that cap. We say, hey, this works. Prices during the day, especially during the day when the solar is abundant in the grid, are extremely cheap. Like very often we see, more and more often we see some of our customers are getting paid to use power. Paid, we pay them, right? In the middle of the day, that's insane. You can get paid serious money. I think in Christmas last year in Victoria was like minus 40 cents for a few hours. Minus 40 cents. We have people that have had a negative bill just by plugging all of their appliances and consuming power. It's like, what's going on, people? Other people instead are paying 30, 40 cents for the same exact thing. Why? Because of that barrier that we were looking before. So what Ember does is say, okay, let's just remove that barrier of cost. We give you direct access to the wholesale market. We give you the tech to manage your gear. So you don't have to be a geeky there with, I don't know, just your computer every day doing trading calculations. What you need to do is you need to have a compatible battery, you need to connect that battery to our software, and then you need to wait for your bill. Now, the beautiful part is if you want to have control over it, you can. We're going to have a look in a second, but you don't have to. It's not complicated. It's bloody simple. You just enroll your battery and let it run. Our software is very good doing so, and that's why we're seeing very good results. So we give you two things. We give you access to the wholesale market, and then we give you an app. This app will show you the live pricing on energy, how much does it cost now to buy from the grid, and how much are you getting paid now to sell to the grid. We give you a forecast. So there is a forecast up to 12 hours ahead. Sometimes on the website, I believe, is up to 24 hours ahead, so you can get an idea, but most likely you'll see that there aren't a lot of variations in the way the market works. Energy is cheap during the middle of the day. It's more expensive in the evening. Sometimes it's very expensive in the evening, and in those scenarios is where you want to be sitting on the couch and don't use a lot of power so that Ember can pay for dinner. You know, you just let it do its thing. The app as well provides you with the technology to control your battery, as well as charging your EV right now, which is a new product that Ember has, which is very exciting for those of you that actually have for now it's a Tesla, it's for Tesla electric vehicles. More chargers are coming. How it works? Well, as I said, you don't need a PhD to understand it. You trade energy, right? You buy low and you sell high. You buy low with the opportunities that the market provides you, a lot of solar in the grid, very cheap energy there, and then you sell high when there is volatility in the market. Now, volatility in the market happens for a very simple reason. As most of the markets and most of the things in this world, it's a matter of a balance, of striking a balance between supply and demand. When there is too much supply and not enough demand, well, the price goes down. When there is the opposite and there is too much demand, think about a very hot day or a sudden outage. An area doesn't have power anymore, so there is a spike in demand. There is some volatility happening. Well, in those instances is when you make your money. And those instances in Victoria, those situations in Victoria happen maybe 3-4 times a year, good events. Victoria is fortunately and unfortunately very stable. But as we are retiring more coal and gas stations, as we are increasing the overall capacity of solar, what we are seeing is that prices are getting lower during the day, higher during the evening. It's happening what has happened already in other states, where essentially there is more volatility happening, which is a very good thing. If you have a battery, you can make a lot of money with that. Now, let's talk about money. This is all good and fair, but how does Ember actually provide value to you in terms of the dollar, the bill? Now, the beauty of Ember is that it's a highly adaptable system, and you can get a very, very good result, or you can get an okay result, depending on a few factors that we're going to talk about in a second. But if you want to consider the high numbers in general, just have a bit of an understanding. If you look at what happened in 2023, and then we're going to look at what happened in 2024, the value that your solar system and battery plus the upside of Ember in Victoria was about $2,000. So the upside is essentially, hey, this is what you save by having a solar system and a battery. For this scenario, this is a customer that has a 6.6 solar system, a Tesla Powerwall 2, and 6,000 kilowatt hour of consumption per year. A pretty average household, I'd say. Now, the upside of Ember in 2023 in Victoria was $397, about $400, which is, as you can see, it's less than all the other states because of that level of stability in the grid. Not many fluctuation in prices, meaning less opportunity to earn. But let's see how things have changed in the last year alone. Now, this is $100 higher, just in 1 year. which tells you, hey, so many people are installing solar, more instability in the market, more weather events, more extreme weather events. I am getting to a point where having a battery connected to the grid like this actually makes serious money. Now, consider the fact that if you make $600 a year on average, you can definitely do a lot more than that. For over the warranty period of a battery, which is 10 years, how does that change the ROI? $600 a year on top, that's $6,000. That's what, like a good almost half of the value of a Powerwall? It's pretty good. It does change significantly the economics. Now, why is New South Wales, for example, so high? Is because of this instability. They just get so much things happening, so many things happening. There are very often price spikes. There is a high consumption of power. So you get, it's almost like the perfect storm. You get many opportunities to sell to the grid. SA is probably my favorite example because SA, as you probably know, SA has been a pioneer in renewable energy. They have been installing since many years a lot of solar. And what is happening right now is that if you look at the average price on the market during the middle of the day in SA, it's constantly negative. For most of the sunny month, the pricing is negative. So what happens? What happens is this. Think about it in the terms of, like, let's say that you are a coal station operator. You need to run a coal station or a power or a gas power station. You have a problem. You cannot turn it on it off. It's not something that has a switch. You need to warm up. And there is a ramp up period which takes a fair bit, and then there is a ramp down period that takes a fair bit. You cannot just switch it on and off depending on, the price is minus 5 cents, let me turn it off. You need it to run. You need to keep on running. So what happens if you keep your massive generator running in the middle of the day? Well, you're losing money, essentially. You need to export at a negative pricing. So what happens? That as soon as there is no supply for solar and the solar generation goes down, demand goes up, they say, hey, wait a second, there is no one that can outbid my bid on the market. I can bid whatever price I want. There is no solar supply. I can charge people $1. I can recoup all of the profits I didn't make this morning or during the day. So that's why they're losing money during the middle of the day. They need to increase their prices in the evening to recoup the losses and still make those fat profits that the shareholder wants, right? So as more of this is happening, this is very good for us. You can charge your system or power your house for free during the day, and then you can make very top dollar in the evening like they are. Why only them they can make a lot of money? Just to give you an idea, what is the best feed-in tariff? Who of you has solar? You said a few of you have solar, right? How much are you getting for feed-in tariff?
Just dropped to 3 cents.
2-3 cents, yeah.
So that raises a question for me.
Yeah.
So I've had solar for probably not quite 3 years, and it's gone from 33 cents to 4.5 cents. So there's a loss in profitability because the volume of power coming through. And it's interesting, these facts that are coming through here. Australia's going to be 82% if we meet our targets and we stay with the Labor government. If we go to the Liberal government, we'll have nuclear as its replacement. So what is the future prediction? So I would say, not that Boss was my decision for me to be solar, but that's a dramatic drop in value. So what is a long-term view of batteries? I mean, you give me a positive picture here, but as we get more solar, there'll be less coal, and those charges will probably differ over time. There'll come a point where that peters out, there'll be no more amber, or will this always be a thing that we can profit from?
Great question. So essentially the question is, hey, so much thing is happening into the market, and maybe nuclear will come in, more solar is being installed, will amber, and essentially this curve, the way this curve looks, cheaper during the day, more expensive at night, will this last for long enough? Will I be able to actually see this in the next 10 years? Well, or 5 years.
30 years, 80%,
yeah.
If we meet our targets.
Yeah, so to say I don't have a crystal ball, but from my experience, what I would say is very likely yes. This is a transitional moment. There is something very interesting happening, which is as more people install solar, the oversupply during the day will increase. the profitability of running a coal and gas station will decrease more and more, which means that prices will continue to go up for the next few years, because this curve will look more lower here, higher here, right? Which will drive a lot more people to buy a battery. As we get to a stage where coal and gas stations are actually getting shut down, that supply doesn't come from the grid anymore, we can expect two things. We can expect a very good uptake of batteries by then, because people are bored of paying 40 cents a kilowatt in the evening. It's just unaffordable. And the second thing that we can expect is that there is going to be more instability in the market, because we are removing that layer of stable supply, which will eventually increase the amount of batteries that are getting installed. Now, to a point where this is going to be very profitable in the transition. Next 5 years, I think that it's going to be the golden age of making a lot of money with your batteries, because if we put ourselves in 10 years' time, we might be living in a place where millions of Australians have a battery. They are all connected to a distributed system like Ember, and we have the capacity to supply all of the power we need all of the energy we need in the middle of the day from solar and renewable energy, and all of what we need during the evening with these distributed systems. So in that case, we will see prices to start to flatten again, and which is good. We don't want the grid to be unstable forever. We want a renewable energy powered, a grid powered by renewable energy that is stable, so that people that can't afford these systems are not left behind. But does this answer your question? And
in a way it does. It says probably in 5 years, if you did it now, you recover your funds on what you put in the battery, and you may make a profit out of that, and over time that will be a different model. Yes.
Over time, the model is probably going to. I think that we're going to get to a point where this is getting more and more extreme. We're going to reach a peak of how much money you can actually make from this system, how much instability there is in the grid, and hopefully by then there are enough batteries connected that we can flatten this curve. We can make it better. We can make the situation less volatile. And in that scenario, yes, you are going to earn less from your system, but I believe that as not everyone will have a battery in 20 years, most people will, very likely, but not everyone will, there will be still significant advantages to have a solar system and a battery connected to a system like Ember. So, all of this is very good, but as you probably know, there are a bunch of companies that are trying to profit from the incredible uptake of batteries. Now, these companies, they came up with models called VPPs, virtual power plants. Ember is somehow categorized as a VPP because legally there is nothing that gets closer to what Ember does. We don't see ourselves as a VPP. We believe that we are closer to something like a personal power plant because we are on the user side, we are on the consumer side of things. We don't exist to make a lot of money to our shareholders and increase that bottom balance line. The main difference between a VPP and Ember lies in a few things. First of all, where is the financial benefit going? A VPP connects you to the grid in the same fashion that Ember does, but passes to you just a portion of the money that you actually earn. Let's say there is a price spike event. Yesterday there was a massive price spike event. Prices went up to $19 a kilowatt for 2 hours. Let's say you sold to the grid, you have a big battery, you sold to the grid 10 kilowatt hour. You made, technically, the value of the power you export, of the energy you exported to the grid is $190. Now, if you are, or if you were with any VPP in Australia, you probably get a portion of that, which is closer to the 10 or 20% of that. And you consider yourself lucky. You're like, wow, I made $20, so good. You don't really know what happened. You don't have visibility over how much money they made. They pocketed the difference, and you get to receive actually just a small portion of it. Another important thing is the approach. For us, every customer is an individual, is a separate individual. The beauty of the way Ember works is that the system is designed so that it works in a certain way for you, and for you, and for you. And everyone has their own individual plan, and everyone has individually control over their device. When you connect your battery to a VPP, and that's why most people don't like it, you lose control. They do the hell they want, whenever they want. You are pretty much handing the keys of your batteries away. You just bought this beautiful thing, and now, hey, here's the keys. Give me some money back, please. Hopefully I have a good time. No, that doesn't work that way. We believe that every battery works differently. Every family has their own ways of consuming power, and the system should be adaptable, and the system should be adapting itself to you, creating a customized plan. So the approach is different. The control is very different. You get to keep all of this stuff. So, and this is really important for us because when we started talking to battery customers a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, when we launched the SmartShift, our battery software, one of the great sticking point that came back to us is, I don't want to give control away. I want to see what happens. I want to know that if I want, I can override the system. And I am not spending all of this money to have someone else control my gear. So this is really important. Ember provides you with more value. You actually make a lot more money. Like, there is no VPP that can even closely match that. Just no way. You have the ability to have full visibility over what's happening instead of just receiving a bill at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter. Now, we talked about the smart automation. I really like SmartShift. I don't have a battery myself. I'm still in the renting category, but one day when I'll have a battery, I think I will be sticking my nose into this app way too often. Why? Because it's fun. It's actually really interesting. So what you're seeing in front of you here is a customized plan. This plan is generated every day, and it's customized in the very sense that this considers your unique situation to predict what the battery is going to do depending on a few things, such as your solar system size, your location. What's the forecast of the market? What's the forecast of your consumption? You have a unique consumption pattern, you have another one, everybody uses power slightly differently. The software learns the way you consume power. And by learning and understanding, it will create this plan. And then this plan is updated every 5 minutes in case you actually change your consumption. It cannot predict the future of how you're using, can only make an educated guess. But let's say that tonight you are going to have a party and you're seeing that the software is saying, oh, look, tonight prices are going to be very high. The battery is saying, I want to be selling, I want to get to 5 p.m. and I want to start selling to the grid. But I'm not selling much to the grid because I know that you consume a fair bit of power later in the night, and the price here is not high enough to justify that. So it makes intelligent decisions around whether it's the best time to charge from the grid, buy power from the grid when maybe it's winter, there is no solar out there, you need to charge your batteries so it can charge from the grid and discharge to the grid or preserve based on all of the factors. And the unique goal of the software, depending on the setting that you put it on, we have a couple of settings. Most likely, most people put the setting on earning optimizer, so they want to earn more. If that's what you want, the software will work around it so that when it trades, it can make you more money. It will not action and it will not trade on the grid to make you 20 cents. It will do it to make you $1, $2, $5, $15, $100. So it is smart enough and it is customized. And that's why it's so revolutionary, and that's why Ember is pioneering this approach, because there is not another software company that is allowing you to have full control over your battery with a unique customized plan. The way the other VPP works, they control 1,000 batteries and they send something that is called fleet control, which means these 1,000 batteries are going to do exactly the same because that's what I need, because I can make more money like that. They don't care whether you're consuming a lot or whether you're going to need that energy later in the night. They're just going to do it and control it. Now, let's say that you are throwing a party tonight. The software is saying, "Hey, tonight the prices are pretty high. I think I can make you good money. So I'm planning to sell." right? I'm planning to sell half of your battery between 5 and 9 p.m. But you're like, oh, wait a second. Tonight I have my daughter's birthday party. We're expecting 50 people. We're going to have a barbecue. We're going to turn on our spa. I need that power. I don't want the software to sell to the grid. So what you do is you enter into the Ember app and you say, preserve battery energy or consume battery energy. You give a manual control to the battery. So you can always fire up your app and manually control the battery. You don't want to sell? Happy days, you don't have to. You can if you want to, or you can take over the system and override the software anytime. Now, probably a lot of you have questions around, hey, but what is a good fit to Ember? What does make a good fit to Ember? How do I know if with my unique consumption, my solar system, my battery, how do I know how much I'm going to earn or how much I'm going to save? Well, there are a few things that needs considering, but there is a sweet spot. The idea is this one. In the old days, maybe if you talk to anyone that wanted to buy solar 5 years ago, the suggestion they would have received is this one. Install as much solar as you can, as you possibly can. Make it massive, right? If you talk to someone like Luke today, which could give you a good advice, he would probably tell you, look, it's important to have enough solar to support your home and to charge your batteries in full, but if you need to choose between a bigger solar system and a smaller battery, or a smaller solar system and a bigger battery, you want the latter. Why is that? Because of where the value lies in the market. If before the incentives were really good and you could get a premium feed-in tariff for those golden years from the solar system, now you can get a very similar thing to a premium feed-in tariff from the battery. So the sweet spot is you want to have enough solar to cover your consumption during the middle of the day, which very often is not a lot, to charge your batteries on an average day, and then you want to have enough stored capacity to cover your consumption in the evening while having an extra 30-50% capacity available to sell to the grid when the grid pays well for it. Because it's in those 3, 4, 5 times a year that you're going to make $100 there, $100 there, $100 there, and you're like, okay, these 4 or 5 days and 50% extra capacity really made a difference for me. So if you think about what a battery does to you, they can either save you money, I'm not buying from the grid, I'm self-consuming, or they can save you money and make you money at the same time. And this is why it's important to have a battery that is bigger than your consumption in the evening. It's okay to draw energy from the grid at night. It's okay to draw energy from the grid during the day, even better. Very often it's more renewable, even cheaper. What you want to be avoiding is drawing from the grid during the evening and having nothing to sell to the grid, because then the system is just not working at its potential. You're saving, happy days, you're going to have a better bill. But will that change? Will that give you the results that you wanted to achieve? Maybe not as much as if you had a bigger battery and some room to sell to the grid. So what are we compatible with? We're working really hard to get compatibility going with as many brands as possible. Right now, we cover about 70% of the battery space. There are a lot of brands, as you know, in Australia. We believe we have the best ones in terms of the best product, the best reliability, the best communications we have with the manufacturer. And all of these batteries, more or less, they work really, really well on Ember. And so when you think about all of these systems, and you can look around, mostly it's all there. This is what you can look at if you are interested in joining Ember. What is coming? We are working, even though it takes. As you can imagine, integrating a new battery system is not as much as just, oh yeah, I take the code from here, I slap it there, I change the logo, that's it. I'm not a tech guy, but I can assure you it's quite complicated. Because if you think about it, this is not something that needs to be working the same for everyone. This system has to work individually for every single customer. Thousands and thousands and thousands of different algorithms running at the same time that are doing their own thing. So it's a very complicated integration, and these are the brands we're working on right now. Unfortunately, I don't have when it's going to be available, but they are coming. All right, so I think this is probably one of the things that excites people the most, other than controlling their battery and spending time checking how many dollars they've earned, is when they get the chance to actually earn very, very well. So what you see here are a few examples of earnings from a customer. Now this customer, $500 in a day, this is a Victorian customer. He actually didn't earn $500, he earned $570. There is a difference between the live screen, which is what you see in live, the battery has earned due to day X, and what the metering, what the usage tab will actually show you. This is 100% true and real, because this is data that comes from your meter. This is a very, very good and educated projection. So it's not always 100% precise. What is very precise is the day after you get the metering data, we process that. So he thought he earned $500 in a day, he actually earned 572 in a day. Now this customer has a 20 kilowatt Sangro and a 10 kilowatt solar system. He doesn't have a $200,000 system. He has a very, very normal system. Most people nowadays are getting closer to a 20 kilowatt storage than to a 10 one. Like the average battery size, look and confirm, it's getting high, it's going up and up. Now, who of you remember when the Loy Yang went down? Was it May last year? When we had the blackout, the Loy Yang went down? What happened is a power line went down, grid went crazy. He made $570 in a day. Not too bad. Can get the, I don't know, go out for dinner a few times.
Can you just repeat what was his panel?
So he had a 10 kilowatt solar system,
10 kilowatts, yeah.
a 10 kilowatt inverter, and a 20 kilowatt Sangro stack.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So how many of you have an electric vehicle? Oh, very good. Very good. So, who of you has a Tesla electric car? Okay, so with a Tesla car, you can already charge your vehicle with Ember in a very smart way, because we do have a charging automation that allows you to charge for the cheapest possible price. But for those of you that have a compatible vehicle to grid, you can probably project yourself in time and see what has happened based on what this customer has experienced. Now, this customer, this fella here is called Jai. He's an Ember customer from South Australia. He's one of the testers of a vehicle to grid. He has two Nissan Leaf. One, he parks it at home, it's always plugged, and the other one, he drives it around. And it's quite, he's a very passionate guy, like I love Jai. But the amazing part is this one. He has a battery. If I'm not mistaken, it's a Tesla battery. And then he has this EV parked there. And this was one of his days. And this shows you the potential of having an electrified system connected to Ember. You have a battery, you have an electric vehicle, you have a solar system, you're an all-electric home. You spend very little to run your house, while as well making very good money. Now, what you see here is what the battery has earned him, which is pretty all right. So he made $120 from the battery in a day, and then this is what the car has earned him. So in a single day, he made $550. Now, as we said, instability is increasing on the market. Volatility is going up every year. If you look at how many volatile events we had 5 years ago and how many we did have in 2024, you see that there is a very big difference. Now, we can project that this volatility is going to increase. This is what happens if you have the right gear connected to the system. So it's very exciting. Unfortunately, as you know, it's just a beta test, but we're all keeping our eyes open for it. I'm almost done, so don't worry about it. The newest thing is Ember for EVs. So we've been hearing a lot of our customers saying, hey, I want to have a product that allows me to charge my car in a smart way, so I don't have to constantly go there, plug it, unplug it, find the best station. If I'm at home and I keep it plugged, I have a system that is smart and works with me, with the wholesale market. And what it does, essentially, you can The first very interesting thing is that you can charge from excess solar without additional hardware, which is incredible. Right now, we are compatible with all of the Tesla models after 2021, and we connect directly with the car because the car is intelligent, but we're working with integration with the main chargers. You can charge from excess solar. You can decide to set your car to charge in a certain way that you prefer. For example, opportunity charge. If the price goes below X, charge the car up to this, because, or maybe it's a fixed charge. I need my car every day to be at least 80%. And the car will, when it's plugged, it will find the best time to get you there. Now, if you pair this with a battery and with the wholesale market, it's a pretty explosive mix. We're seeing people just not paying any more to charge the vehicles at all, which is really exciting. Now, we are working to make this as beautiful as the SmartShift app. It takes a bit of work. We launched this just a few months ago. We already have, I believe, more than 1,000 cars connected to it. The adoption was really, really quick. But hopefully it will look like this in just a little bit of time, which will give you a very good overview of how much you paid for charging, how much renewable energy you used, and so forth. So it's a very exciting addition to what Amber was already doing with batteries. Alrighty. This is a breakdown of everything that it does essentially right now. So you have a variable charging mode. You can connect your battery as well, as we said. You can schedule charging, and you can charge from excess solar. I believe that actually this slide should be later on, so I made a mistake there, but let's talk about money. This is an example. I really like this example. Who of you have tried to install solar, but you can't? If any? None. All of you can install solar. You have beautiful roofs, everything is... You're lucky. Not everybody is as lucky as you are. Many people, unfortunately, cannot install solar due to shading, due to the weird shape of the roof, whatever is the reason. We can't install solar on every roof, but what we can do, very likely, is install a battery. This is a family of 6 kids. They are 8 people, right? They live in the Osnet region, a bit northern. They have 2 Powerwalls, and they have no solar connected to the grid. Now, I believe that this is a great example because it gives you an idea of how cheap energy can be to buy and how much you can earn when you sell. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the rates that you pay. I'm pretty sure that you guys know how much you pay for power and how much you sell it for, right? Now, has ever happened to you that you consume 1,300 kilowatt from the grid in a month and you make money? No. So what happened is this family had a very expensive month. They consumed a lot of power. Okay, this is all of July, so pretty cold, right? They're running their air conditioner, they're warming up their house, using a lot of power. They consume 1,300 kilowatt hour. The average rate they pay is 22 cents, which is, it's pretty much a pretty good rate compared to most rates out there. It's nothing phenomenal. Why was that not that low that month? It's because the average price that month on the grid was really high, but that's great. Why? Because they have 2 batteries. They bought at 22 cents. They sold, the average feed-in tariff that month was $1.48. So in that month, that family with just 2 batteries running their homes, they made $430 in credit. In a month. $400 in a month. It's a family of 8 people. Like I saw their bills before Amber. They were getting slapped with $400-500 per month. Like it's an insane difference, right? Now, if you consider how much they paid and how much they received, this is the result. That month, even though they ran their entire home, they made $100. No solar. Another example is this one. Another month. We're talking about November here. They consumed 1,000 kilowatt. It was a better month, so the prices were overall a bit lower. Means I pay a lot less for what I sell, for what I buy, and I receive less for what I sell. They consumed 1,100 kilowatt. 12.6 cents is the average price. This is almost half, or it's less than half than the average price paid in Victoria, right? Then they sold 187 kilowatts, so they mostly consumed all of that they had to consume, and the average export price was 16 cents. Now tell me, where else can you find an average price of what you pay that is lower than what you're receiving? You just can't. Like, and this is really the example of why this system makes so much sense. It's like you can't. If you have a solar battery, it just doesn't make sense to stay on a standard retail plan. Just doesn't. It's just not what it works. Now, if you look at their average prices in the last 6 and 12 months, the average feed-in tariff in the last 6 months was 15.3 cents. Pretty good, about 3 times higher than a good one right now in Vic. And the average buy price for the last 12 months was 16 cents. So this family went from spending a fortune to having 2 batteries and pretty much not paying any bill. No solar. And pay for what and pay very little for what they buy, because they still consume a lot, right? Now this is another customer. This is one of Luke's customers. He has 14 kilowatt of solar, 2 Fronius inverters, and 2 Powerwalls. Let's have a look at his numbers. He doesn't consume a lot from the grid. He bought a second battery because he wanted to trade on the grid. He wanted to be able to make more money from it. His bills, this is last month, this is last bill, 1801 to 1702. He exported 144 kilowatt at 14 cents, almost nothing. He exported 696 kilowatt at 21 cents. Now this has made him $150 in credit, meaning at the end of the month he pocketed $95. So he doesn't have a bill. He made $95 in that month, which is really extraordinary. Especially considering how hot, guys. Like last month has been hot. Like January was bloody hot here. I don't know if you remember, but I do. I do. Another example, this is the month of July. 1,500 kilowatt of consumption. He really cranked that air conditioner for heating in a month. Average rate 18.4, still good 30%, 25-30% cheaper than what you can get on the grid. Export to the grid at 137 kilowatt. It's not that much, but hey, that 137 kilowatt made him $484 in a month. Average export price, $3.50. Not 3.5 cents, $3.50. Right? He consumed 1,500 kilowatt. This person is consuming 40 plus kilowatt a day from the grid on top of his solar, and yet we paid him $167 in a day. Why? Because he has more storage. He doesn't have just enough to cover his consumption. He has more storage than what he needs, and he understands the system. He's like, oh, wait a second, I'm not gonna draw all of this power from the battery right now. I'm just gonna do it later in the night, or I'm gonna put a timer so my washing machine runs in the middle of the day. He puts a little bit of focus into, okay, how can I take care of making sure that this system is optimized? Not rocket science. Buy cheap, sell high. And just wait for the grid to help you, right? Guys, $400 in a month. Like this is a small income almost. It's like, what the hell?
But to be fair,
yeah.
that system would have got $30,000 to put in.
Oh yes, for sure. It was an expensive system.
You've got to spend $30,000.
Yes, but how much are you spending for power before you install the system? That's the question you need to ask yourself.
Yeah, but you need to factor in the cost, the capital cost. You can't ignore the capital cost of having a system like that to get the results you get.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. It's like, if you want to look at the ROI, well, there are a series of calculations that you need to be doing. I think that what matters in this scenario is to think maybe you want to install a solar system and a battery because you have a lot of power outages, you want to be renewable, you have very expensive bills, and you can't just not consume that power. You need to use it, right? So if that works for you, where we have, I don't know, you have maybe $6,000 a year of bills because this customer consumes 1,500. Like, how much would you have paid 1,500 kilowatt if you were on a normal contract? How much would you paid if you used like the other family? So you need to assess whether do I spend a lot of money on energy? What is your objective? Is it you want to reduce as much as possible your cost? Do you want to be energy independent? You want to be secure and safe? Then considering what's your goal, I agree with you. The ROI doesn't stack up for everybody. Like if you don't pay anything for power, maybe you don't need it. It's like, but if you're a normal household that is stuck with an expensive price, you want that energy independency, well, and you buy a battery, this is what you can do with Ember. And this is added value that you can get out of it, essentially. Better to make 100, better, the way I see it is if you buy a battery and you have a big system because you need that power and you make $400, that's better than making 15 on another company. I hope that answers your question. Average buy price, average feed-in tariff in the 6 months, 14.9 cents, pretty good in Vic. Average buy price, 6.4. So this is what Embers allows you to do if you have the gear and if you decide that you want to take advantage of it. All right. Thank you very much. I finished with my rant. Now, if you're convinced and you want to sign up to Ember, which I'm pretty sure that all of you want to, we don't have any lock-in contracts. We don't have any fees. It's a very safe environment. If you have a battery and you just want to play with it, very likely you're going to have a very good time. And if you do, just use the code of Luke so you can get $30 off your bill, which, why not?
Cool.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thanks for that. That's good.
Yeah, no worries.
We'll open it up for questions now. So, questions, anyone? Or did we get them out? Yeah.
In terms of the app, is there one account and two users, like Tesla? We've got two drivers. How does the app work? And he override mine?
Great question. So it's one account is connected to one NMI.
So one name?
One name, but you can both log in, guys. You just need to share the email address. So if you just share the login details with him, okay, you can both have access to the app and see what's happening.
And how does that conflict with the Tesla app? Do you use the Amber app more or the Tesla app?
For the battery, or
so is the primary user?
Yeah, great question. So what we do is this. There are a series of settings and parameters that you want to set on your Tesla app because that's your primary app for the battery setup. Let's say that you want to set a minimum reserve level. What will happen is that the Amber app will inherit the commands that are set on the Tesla app. But on your day-to-day, the Amber app will be your go-to. If you want to check with more details how much, how everything is going, you probably want to check your Tesla app because that will give you a little bit more granularity and maybe you like better the interface. But if let's say you don't have the Tesla app, you can find pretty much all of the info already on the Amber app. And what we see is that people actually use both just because they like to have a broader picture.
Thank you. More questions?
I get the value of the Amber app is making some money, but what is the difference if you get time of use rates, where you get very cheap rates late at night, for example, and what is the key difference there?
No, that's a very good question. I think one of the things that are not talked about when you're thinking about, okay, I need to save money on my energy bills, the rates you're on, it's in terms of like whether you're on a flat usage rate or in a time of use, or in some parts of the country they have a fancy one called demand tariff, which luckily we don't have much in Victoria. The rate will impact your overall performance with Ember as it would with another company. Now, if you have a solar system and you have a battery, you want to be on a time of use tariff because that will essentially guarantee that if there is no sun, you're still buying power at a cheaper rate. And virtually to you, that means that it's going to be cheaper during the day and more expensive in the evening, and then a little bit cheaper at night. Now, if you are with Ember, that reflects as well, because what we do is we take the wholesale market, we take the wholesale market pricing, and then we stack on top of that your rate, your network rates. So if you're on an anytime tariff, for example, you pay always the same. The wholesale market value fluctuates, goes up and down, but the portion of the cost that you pay the network, the tariff, that stays the same. So if right now the market is 1 cent and you pay 5, you pay 6 cents. That's the total. If the market rate in the evening is 10 cents and you pay 5, because you're on any time, always the same, you pay 15. Instead, when you're on a time of use tariff, that changes because it's less in the middle of the day, more in the evening, less at night. But if you want to think about when is the best time to use power, since the rates, the time of use tariff will help you, but the best time is always in the middle of the day. Yeah.
It really depends what plan you're on already.
Yeah.
It's hard to get like very direct answers because it depends on what solar system you have, what plan you're on, what year it's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, but if you have a solar system, let's say if you just have a solar system and your objective is to save money, you probably want to be on an anytime tariff, just because you're not penalized to import from the grid in the evening, because you are going to be importing from the grid in the evening, not in the middle of the day. If you have a battery, you want to have more chances to buy cheaply so that you can charge your battery for less. Because ideally, you're not paying those extra high prices in the evening anyway, because that's the objective of a battery. Yeah.
Cool. More questions?
Very good.
Yeah, again.
Yeah. We're getting solar and battery through Lightning in 3 weeks.
Happy days.
So when is the best time to transition over to Amber?
As soon as the battery is installed.
Right, so we say goodbye to our current
I
retailer.
don't want to wait for the grid connection.
Yeah, no, you don't wait. We can take care of that. The best time for you is very likely as soon as the battery is installed, because we can take care of the grid connection as it would with another retailer. The switch in Victoria is very quick. What inverter are you getting installed? You're getting, it's a DC coupled.
Powerwall 3, yeah.
Is it DC coupled?
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So it's very simple integration. You just enroll your battery and we take care of the grid connection, which will take a few days. It takes 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how things are with the network and which networks you are. But the beauty of it is that at least you have the time to get used to the system, get used to the app, and as soon as your feed-in tariff is coming through, SmartShift will start its enrollment, which takes a few days as well.
What levels of support, because I know, jumping from a new system, what levels of support does Amber provide in terms of the app, and if we've got any difficulties with that through Lightning or through...
That's a great question. So the idea behind the way we see our support for the battery automation is that it should be very straightforward. If there is a problem, like if there is something happening outside of the order, you'll see it on the app. And my suggestion, if you see a problem, just give it a couple of days, because very often we have reboot systems that will try to fix things, and we have people monitoring these problems. But if you have a problem, since you're coming through Lightning, you have the ability to go to Luke and ask him to get in touch with us, because we do have a priority support with our partners. So Luke has the chance to actually get in touch with us and create a priority support ticket. But my suggestion is give it a little bit of time. Very likely it takes, it's a bit of a patience game in the beginning. As soon as everything is set up and running, you're going to have a much better time. But it takes a few days.
Cheers, thanks.
Yeah.
If we were to rent our house out, have you got any experience in that? How does that work with tenants?
Oh, yeah.
The tenant will say, I want this company or that company. So then how does that work then? Or is it too new to have that sort of thought?
No, it's an interesting question. I think I've already had cases where someone was interested in buying a battery for their rental property. And there are a series of ways that you can structure this and agree with the tenants on how to deal with that. If that was my scenario, in my case, what I would do is to say, look, you pay the bills to me. I'm going to look at a retail contract of how much power costs with a cheap power plan. You agree that you want to pay that rate. You're fine with that. I'm going to charge you that, and I'm going to make the calculations at the end of the month. And you spent all of this money on the system, so you better get the upside. As long as they have power and they pay a fair price, I think everyone is winning here. Yeah. The good part is that you can say, look, you're using a lot of renewable energy. And I would incentivize my tenants to be aware of the fact that if they use more energy during the middle of the day, they will be consuming less from the grid because you have a solar system. That benefits you and benefits them. Yeah, I would do that.
So the landlord could have control over the app? Not
Yes. Yes, you can. Look, if you want to give control to the tenant, the point is that you have the benefits of the system if you are the person you have the bill. Whose bank account is connected to the bill? So
Is that a real situation?
No,
Okay.
that it could be. I was trying to, how do you work with that? That's actually
Yeah, I think it'll be a negotiation with the tenant directly, but from my experience, those deals tend to fall through. It's just too difficult to manage and negotiate, and people don't agree on things, and yeah,
yeah.
it's just a bit too messy. That's what I found.
Yeah, or maybe you just bring the battery with you. Just
Yeah.
just unplug it, put it in the backpack, and just
Just another quick question.
Go for it, mate.
As a pioneer, is any other country in the world using this system, or is it only Australia that's got Amber?
So it's a beautiful question. So there are other companies in the world that are doing and are working towards this space because Amber is a venture-backed company.
Yes.
You can go online and you check how much money we raised. It's all public information, many millions of dollars. Why? Because there is a big interest in and understanding that this will essentially turn into potentially a very big business which supports millions of people. And in other parts of the world, it's happening the same. Now, the beauty of the position where Amber finds itself is that Australia has a unique mix, has the perfect storm. A lot of sun, a lot of individual houses. The average household has a good amount of spending available. It's people have the money essentially to purchase this gear. And they have been for the last 10, 15 years. If you look at other parts of the world, you find in iterations of what Amber does with less control. So it's a breed. It's a mixed breed between a VPP as we know it now, as it is now, and what Amber and the level of control that Amber gives you. The beauty of it is that we have been working with retailers overseas. We have customers that are using the Amber technology overseas so that they can provide that level of automation to those customers without having to build the very, very nasty and complicated tech that is behind what we do.
And CBA
Is an investor, yes. Yeah.
Is there a float in them, or is it already on?
What, sorry?
A float stock market for the Amber, is that?
Oh, I am not made aware of. I'm not made aware of any.
Okay.
As employees, we all have shares into the business
Yeah.
because Amber believes that we should be invested into the success of the company, and I really appreciate that because when I wanted to look for a company to work for me it was really important to feel like connected to the company. Like I have sent, when I was looking for a job, funnily enough, I sent one application, just one. Because between all of the companies that I found online that were advertising, the only one that struck me as, okay, these people are actually doing some serious stuff. They care about their mission, they're motivated. Amber was the one. And I think that the fact that we all have shares into the business and hopefully we're going to see the business become very big and eventually, one day, hopefully, a public offering. I don't know if you'll see me going around with a Ferrari, electric by that time, but you'll probably hear it on the news.